Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you are watching this week's video. Hey y'all, for some of y'all that this is your first time tuning in, we glad to have you. I am Patrice L. Berry, EA. That EA stands for Enroll Agent. None other than, you'll see in the corner there, this corner, that corner, that corner, the tax cop. That's who I am. So we're so glad that you signed up for our newsletter. We're glad to have you in our TTE, that's Total Tax Experience family, and glad that you've taken the time out of your schedule to watch this week's video. Every week we're coming in your mailbox, giving you some sort of tip, bringing things to your attention that's happening out here in these tax streets. Also dibbling and dabbling in a little bit of accounting. Why? Because you can't get to taxes without having some accounting. It just does not work that way. Y'all will see this week, I did not bring the red out. Thank you for all the feedback on the poppin' red. I am ready for fall, y'all. Fall is my thing. Why? Because I get to wear hoodies. I get to actually put them combat boots on. I done took my combat boots out the box. I got my high top chucks, my not that high, but my knee high chucks that I cannot wait to wear. That my kids are like, Mom, I can't believe you bought them. Yes, I did, and bought them in black and have not worn them yet and cannot wait to wear them. Definitely got my nude color lip. Y'all see it here. Y'all see it here. I love nude colors. I absolutely love fall. I love sweaters. I love earthy tones. I feel like they bring out so much. I love the browns, the yellows, the greens. Green is different in the fall than it is in the rest of the seasons, right? We hardly see it in winter. We definitely see it popping out in spring, and then it does its thing in summer, right? It comes full bloom in summer. Y'all know green is my favorite color. So today we got a nude color from Minted. They don't sponsor me. Who knows? Maybe one day we'll get to a point where I get enough activity that they can sponsor me. I absolutely love their colors. I love my nails aren't that yet, but I will be painting my toes and my fingers their nude colors. I absolutely love nudes. I love nudes. I feel like they're very natural. And there's nothing else but my facial routine. So there's no other nothing on the skin. The skin is popping. We doing what we supposed to. We got to get a little bit more water in. It's the sea moss, y'all. Your girl been taking a spoonful of sea moss. She got at the mom's. She did. Why? Not because of all the glowiness that it will do and give me the 92 minerals and stuff like that. My joints was hurting. My glute had locked up on me big time. My left glute locked up on me, and I need some relief. And so I've been taking sea moss for about a month, and I was like, hopefully this helped to give me some relief from the joint pain. And this morning, don't you know it, I was able to do about 25 minutes of a step routine. So we getting there slowly but surely. Slowly but surely we're getting there. But enough about me this week. I wanted to bring something to y'all attention. Y'all are like, man, that was a long tail introduction. It was because I need y'all to know we still here. We still alive. And I want to hear about what's going on in y'all life. But more importantly, as we round out, we only got 2 more weeks in Q3 before we round into Q4. And I'm now doing my quarterly tax planning meetings with my tax planning clients that have built a package with me for the year. They meet with me once a quarter. We come up with strategy. We figure out how much they're going to owe in taxes. We're projecting out. We can't figure out it exactly. We get really close. We deal with life changes in real time so that we can actually adjust and get in front of them tax numbers and determine what tax strategies we can actually institute. So I am finishing up my Q3 meetings for the rest of the month. And then we'll meet again in Q4, November timeframe, to make sure that we rounded that stuff out. Everything that we talked on each quarter, has it worked? Is it going in the direction we want? Do we have any last minute adjustments? Did they sneak anything in extra to these bills? Y'all know end of the fiscal year is in a couple weeks, and they got to pass some funding. Congress need to do their darn job. Okay. I'm not going to get on the Congress soapbox, but that's what it is. And in one of my tax planning meetings last week, my client, who's been with me since I started this program where I work with people for a year, she asked a great question. She has a S corporation, right? So her concern was how much profit should really be will we be looking at to sit, right? Because she's gonna have to pay taxes for. And how much money is she looking to have as a reserve to carry over into the new fiscal year, which for her is a calendar year. She's a calendar year based S corporation. And I was like, man, I've never had anybody ask me that question. It's a great question. And on the spot, the Holy Ghost did what the Holy Ghost does and dropped in, downloaded, and gave me a different way of looking at it. Right. And the explanation I'm going to give you may sound doom or gloom, but I promise you it's not. The economy is economy. People are doing what they need to do. Right. And if you are doing a good job of knowing your numbers, staying on top of your finances, looking at your financial statements, you can actually line those financial statements up, those P&Ls, that balance sheet up month by month. Right now, the balance sheet ain't gonna give you. It's gonna give you a snapshot of time. It's gonna pick a day and be like, "Hey, this is what this stuff was. This is what your assets were. This is what your liabilities were. This is what your owner's equity is." However, for profit and loss, you can line them up month by month and see your activity. And the reason why this is important is because twofold. Everybody focuses on revenue, right? And revenue is important. Not as important as cash flow, but revenue is very strong. That's the fuel, right? That's the fuel. You need revenue to come into the business. We definitely do, right? We need that fuel to come in so that we are able to pay them expenses. What revenue can allow you to do is to determine on average, when you line them up month by month, it will allow you to see on average how much revenue you're generating on a monthly basis. It will also let you see ebbs and flows. Y'all know I've been talking about feast and famine this year, but it'll allow you to see ebbs and flows. It'll let you see when you got a stronger month, then you do have a weaker month, and when you have those mid months, and you kind of can start to group them by quarter, which is why I do quarterly meetings with my tax planning clients. Because then we can determine, hey, I got some people that stuff starts to pick up from June to December or June till October. And so that's when we get the influx, right? And so we plan that differently so that we can stretch and make sure that they can operate for the remainder of the time, right? Because that's their busy time, and it allows us to be like, wait a minute, so let's set aside extra during this time because it allows us to do just that. Y'all, forgive me for that, right? That's my husband calling me. I had to put him on. I can't talk right now. I'm gonna get back to you. But the beauty behind that as well is it gives us when we line that up month by month, we get to see the expenses as well. When we get to see those expenses on a monthly basis, we get to actually see, yo, am I just spending money just to be spending money? Or, and I've explained this to y'all before, like I know when my software renewals come. A lot of them come, I have some that come like August, September, and then again, I get a big flux in like November, like October, November, right? Why? Because I ain't gonna lie to you. I be planning my stuff around Black Friday. And so I did my renewals and got into some deals around Black Friday because that's when they was pumping the stuff. And I'd be like, okay, boom. If this the lowest you're gonna be, then let me go ahead and renew you. And I will do an annual subscription when I can do a good annual subscription. Okay? If I can take that annual subscription and chop and screw that thing into a monthly payment, especially for some things that I have that are lifetime subscriptions, I'll do that, get through it, and be like, we're going to eat this cost for a year. Then after that, we're going to have this for lifetime. All right? So how I was able to determine that was I can actually look at stuff from a month-to-month basis. And the example I gave was that last year, I kind of screwed myself. When we went into, after I did my tax planning in November, we did stuff for about 2 weeks in December, and then we was off. Like, we broke. We broke. Like, we was not in here doing no work. What? I was doing my training. My team was off. They was getting paid. We was broke, right? We took a break, right? I was watching TV, eating snacks. We was resting. And I did not renew my monthly accounting clients at that time. So then I came into January like, this looks weird. Now, I did put some new things in place in January, but And then we instituted that we were going to do deposits for this tax season. First time doing it, and it works well. So we're keeping it. But I did not actually do what I needed to do for accounting. And so there were a couple of months we were working for free, right? Because it took me a while to be like, wait a minute, I got to get back in here. How do we roll this over? How do I make sure I have contracts for stuff and make sure that I'm in engagements for accounting services the right way? So I used this example with my client, and I said, my tax planning client, and said, let's look at these numbers and let's look at if you were to not get any revenue going into first quarter, January, February, March, how much are those expenses going to cost you to be able to sustain this business until you were to get revenue again in April? What would that look like? How much money? This would be me, right? I'm using Q4 as my guide because I know how my flow currently is in my business, right? Now, I'm going to look and make sure that I got that money earmarked to cover expenses, right? That includes software, that includes my team, that includes if I'm taking a paycheck, that includes materials I might need or some training I might have to do. All of those things I'm going to figure out, because remember I told you that, right? I'm looking at November, that's when I do some renewals. I'm going to make sure I have that money earmarked going into Q1. So for my client, I told my client, hey, let's take a look at the expenses. I'm not concerned about the revenue right now. The expense activity for Q1 of 2025, anticipating that Q1 may look like that again for you, right? Next year and going to 2026. And let's look at Q4 2025 to see what was going on. And we kind of glanced at both to figure out where stuff was going to be and what it was going to look like to earmark, hey, at a minimum, by the time you get to the end of the year, if you want some money to carry over, we need profit. And I mean real profit, that not necessarily paper profit. This is what I'm telling you. Not necessarily paper profit, but money we can actually go to the bank and actually say, yep, we kept this money. Right? Because now we are ending September. We got October, November, December to get this money in the bank. Not to be touched. Now, it could be in the savings account. It could be in the it can be in a brokerage account. It can be high yield savings account. It could be a reserve, another checking account, wherever you want it to be. But we need to get this money sitting in a bank by December 31st. Now, the reason why she asked that question was, Patrice, if I have this sitting here, how does this look? And where is my goal? Because I know I'm going to have, if I have a profit showing of that amount of money at the end of the year, I'm going to have to pay taxes on that. And I want to get in front of those taxes. Now, does the S corporation have to pay that tax? No. But if her bottom line nets out to where we want her to be, she is the sole shareholder. She's going to have that money passed forward. And we gear marking to be like, hey, let's have somewhere between 20 and 30,000 earmarked, right? To carry over, because you're going to get taxed on that. Now, do I want her to have 80, 60, 90? I don't want her to have that amount of money, right? So we are coming up with strategies, but we figured out a sweet spot for her based on her information to make sure that if nothing happens in that next quarter, that she will be able to, you know what? We at least can maintain. And we need to make sure we got enough money in reserves. Now, let me tell you the beautiful part of this is not something we just started building. We've been having, like I said, I've been doing the annual tax planning for about 3 years now. We've been working up to this, right? And she's a very good steward of her business activity. Very good steward, very, very diligent in operating on what she needs to operate on and not spending everything that comes in. This is why I say what I say about revenue. And for y'all who've been listening and be like, this is just for businesses. It's not. It really is not. Remember, I told you that everyone has a financial statement. I don't care who you are. Everyone has a financial statement. Every last one of us. We got a personal financial statement, and those of us who are running businesses, we have business financial statements. Whether you actually run them in some software or not, they still exist. And so, therefore, think about it like this. This is when people are budgeting. This is exactly what they told you. Make sure that you have set aside 3 to 6 months in expenses in a bank account. That if something were to happen to you, that you don't touch, that you can sustain yourself if you were to lose your job or whatever. That's all I said. But we based it off of data to figure out what that number was going to be. We based it off of, because she has financial statements, she knew exactly what that is. And the same thing can happen for you. You can sit down and you can figure that stuff out and say, you know what, Patrice? Life is funny. All kinds of stuff is happening right now out in these streets. And I definitely get it. And you're right, I have to be more diligent and not only setting that money aside in my business, but I also need to do that in my household. And I may need to find another stream of income to be able to help me generate that so that it's earmarked so I don't touch it. I don't know if this resonates with anybody, but I hope it does. It was a light bulb moment for the both of us. All I told her was stuff that we had both picked up in our personal life, that we did on a personal side of the house, that we're bringing those same skill sets over into our businesses to be better stewards. And so if this resonates with you and you like, I don't really know where to start, I'm not sure if my finances are straight, I need some help, can you kind of just walk me through this? Do you want to look at my paper to see if it's correct? I even have some clients that are doing that with me this week, that are taking the time and saying, Patrice, I need some help. I just want to make sure it's right. I want to make sure that I am moving in the right direction, that I'm going to be able to be sustainable, and that if nobody else comes here, I at least know how I can make it through until I get to the other side of through. And so I know, and the reason why I'm actually stating this is some people after September 30th may not have a job. If they're working in a DMV area, some people may not have anything lined up. Others may. And you trying to figure out how you going to make it. Or you like, you know what, I've been working. And I want to make sure that I don't go through everything on a wish and a prayer. Give yourself, and I don't want to use the budget word. I want you to actually figure out what your numbers are and actually earmark that money in a reserve account and tell that money what to do. I do the same thing with my taxpayer money. Yes, if the business owed tax, I set that money aside. I build it up because I don't want to get to the time where I'm filing taxes and being like, yo, good uncle, I ain't got your coins. I've been on a payment plan before. I paid off in a short time. I've actually had to stroke the IRS personally, 5-figure checks twice. I know what that feels like. I know what the emotion and everything like that feels like to get letters in the mail. I do. And so because of this, I want us to be more purposeful and planning where we're going. And if we don't even know how to get there, we kind of need somebody to kind of, can you just check my paper to make sure I'm good? Because we need that encouragement. Because a lot of times we don't have these conversations with one another the way we need to. And you need a safe space to feel unjudged. And you just want somebody to tee-hee-hee with you and be like, girl, you got it. Boy, you got this. Come on, let's get it. I am an encourager. I'm an exalter. I will actually get it there. And if it's wrong, I smack your hand and be like, all right, let's do this a little bit different. I'm here to help you get to that space where you actually feel comfortable that if any letter comes, any notice comes, that you have already audit proofed your business and your life. So when the panic happens and you feel all those physiological feelings, you can breathe and say, we put a plan in place. I'll execute the plan. If I got to pay extra, yes, a little bit in the reserves, but I'm going to learn my lesson and we'll tighten up shop. Hopefully this message resonated with somebody. If you want to schedule a meeting, we'll make sure that you have a link to our website to schedule a meeting, a one-off tax planning session. If you're trying to learn how to use your software, your accounting software, and you're not 100% certain, that might be a QBO or a Zero session or a Wave app session. I don't mind doing the training. I want you to know your numbers. Why? Because I'm steadily looking at mine to make sure that we're going to make it through. Why? Because I got a business BFF who holds me accountable and is like, girl, do you know your numbers? What's your key metrics? What is going on? How are we with cash flow? How are you moving forward? I know you are doing all that investing, but what's going on in your business? Are you able to make it? Are you working on things to be able to pivot? And if you don't have that, I want to be able to be that in some way, shape, or form for you. So until next week, I'm going to holler at y'all.